Alright everybody, in this video and in several subsequent ones I want to go over the master sketch rules for different types of logic games. In this one I'm going to be talking about how we would set up a strict sequencing game. And apologies for sounding so raspy, I got infected this week, but manfully fighting my way through it, so I think I'll survive. Okay, but anyway, let's just do the plan is going to be that I want to go over a few strict sequencing games and then move into loose sequencing and a few other things as well. Just kind of progress our way through the different game types. But first thing, before we start our sketch, let's identify why this would be a strict sequencing game. And the way that we can do it is that, remember, strict sequencing, order matters, right? Where something is placed. And it looks like we have that, right? We have construction of 7 decks during a 7-week period, weeks 1 through 7, okay? And we get some specific dates about where something is built, week 2, week 6, week 5, etc. So we know that we're dealing with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, squeeze that in there, 7. We've got 7 slots to be filled, and the order matters. Okay. Now, the next thing that we know is that we've got these different pieces, F through M, right? And we have certain rules. They said that exactly 1 deck must be built each week according to the following conditions. So there are no repeats in this one, right? And those are the basic rules for strict sequencing. We have to have order, and there's no repeating. So let's put down our players here for a moment and see what we can deduce. So that is stage 1 in your attempt on LSAT questions, is first figure out, okay, what kind of game am I playing? And in this case, it is a strict sequence. Sorry, my pen's gotten all wobbly, right? And we make our preliminary sketch. It's 7 weeks, so I've got 7 slots I need to fill in. And let's see what we have. We have F, players are F, G, H, J, K, L, and M. Okay? All right, so now let's see what our rules are. Once we've kind of done that, that's stage 1, strict sequencing. Here's our players. What are the rules? All right, so we'll list the rules out, try to do it in shorthand, and then we're going to try to combine them and then fill in what we can with our sketch. So number 1, first rules, G sometime before K. Now, the way that we write that is something like this. I know G has to come to the left of K, but I don't know exactly where. So that's where I'm going to put my ellipses. Okay? So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, L either immediately before or immediately after M. There's a couple of ways that you can do this. One way is that people like to do LM or ML. That's totally fine. I personally prefer to do something like this. I'll just do L/M. That's just shorthand for me to know that they have to be next to each other, but I don't know exactly which one comes first. Okay, so I'm just going to use that notation there. All right, third, F must be built on week 5. Well, that's a pretty solid thing there. We have F equals week 5. Okay, so we know that's got to go there. Rule 4, J is either week 2 or week 6. J equals 2 or 6, one of the two. Okay, now that we've done the shorthand for the rules, let's see if we can combine them in any way. And when I say combine, what I mean is that in any of these rules, do we have an element or a player that's repeated? And if you kind of scan down through the list, we really don't, right? This one talks about G and K, and those don't appear anywhere else. F and J, nowhere else, L and M. So we really can't do any combination here. No combo. Which kind of sucks, because generally it makes the game a little easier to play if you're able to combine things. But if you don't, let's not freak out of that. If we don't have pieces that are in more than one rule, there's really nothing we can do. Okay, so let's go down the line and see what we can fill in here. Well, I could start with the most obvious one, right? Rule number 3 says F has to be on space 5. So let's just go ahead and do that. Let's see, that would be right here. F has to be here. All right, so I can think about it like this. I've taken care of F. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's nowhere else that could be. Okay, now, G before K. There's not a lot that we can do here, but I can, remember, whenever you have a block or stuff put in a sequence, you can make a deduction about where things could not be. So like, for example, let's think about where could K not be. Well, if I know that I have to have G to the left of K, This right here, this is so common on the LSATs. This should just be second nature to you as you practice. Immediately I can say, I can't put K here, right? No K there because I don't have space to put G behind it. And then the same thing for G. I can't put G over here. No G allowed there for the same reason. Excuse me. All right, so we took care of that rule. Excuse me. And we took care of this rule. Now, what about number two? You might be tempted to think that, oh, we can kind of do the same thing like we did with the G and the K, but not exactly. Because while we know that they have to be next to each other, I don't know which one comes first. So if I knew that we had to have LM, then I absolutely could say I couldn't put M here, right? Because there wouldn't be space for L to come behind it. But because I don't know which comes first, I really can't make any deductions. All I do know is that I'm going to need to have a space of 2 set aside for M and L. They can't be separated, right? I couldn't do something like M and then L over here. That's not going to work. They have to be right next to each other. Okay, so that I can't really do anything with that one. And then finally with J, I've got something where it says J could be either on slot 2 or slot 6. All right, so that means, I don't know, I guess I could put something like this. I could say J could be either here or here. All right. Now, one thing, just very importantly, we've talked about this before in class, if you've been so unlucky as to have endured one with me, but remember the concept of a floater. A floater, before we move on, a floater is something that is a piece in your set that has no rule applied to it. There are no restrictions on it. And if you think about it, we do actually have a floater here. Well, we got a rule for G, we've got rules for J, K, L, and M, but we do not have any rules for H. So I usually tend to make a note of that up to the side. I make my little floater list or put something like H up there, just to indicate that that piece can go anywhere without any restrictions. All right. That's about all that we can deduce from this game. So in the next video, we're going to look very quickly at some of the questions involving this scenario and kind of zip through them quickly.